Right, we're going to look now at the quotient rule. Okay, the quotient rule is actually a variation of the product rule. You'll see why I say that in just a second. But the quotient rule says that if you have something that is written as a division, so previously we did the product rule of two things being multiplied together, we're now thinking about two things that are being divided. So u and v are both functions of x. Then the thing that you need to know, this is not in a formula book, is that to differentiate y, you do the denominator multiplied by the numerator differentiated, subtract the numerator multiplied by the denominator differentiated, and you divide that all by the denominator squared. So it's vu dash minus uv dash over v squared. In a sort of like, how do I remember this way? One of the ways I remember this is just I say the numerator as vuv, just because it's vuv rather than uvu, if you were to have it the other way around. And the reason you need to know that it's that way around of vu dash minus uv dash is because when you're subtracting, order matters, doesn't it? If you do 3 take away 5 or 5 take away 3, you don't get the same answer. Whereas with the product rule, it didn't matter which ones you did first, as long as you did both of them and added them. So it's vuv over v squared for the quotient rule. People often forget about this v squared bit that goes in the denominator. And I'm also going to show you my visual way of how I remembered the quotient rule as well. So we're just going to go straight in with this. Oh, no, we're not going to go straight in. We're going to talk about, do you want to prove this? Well, like I just said, the quotient rule is actually a variation of the product rule. Because what I've said here is you could let u equal yv. So if I rearrange this so that I multiply both sides by v, I would have that u is equal to yv. Then I can differentiate everything with respect to x using the product rule, and then I could rearrange it to make y dash the subject. So the quotient rule is actually a variation of the product rule because you can rearrange it into a product and differentiate that using the product rule, make y dash the subject or dy by dx the subject, and you will come up with vu dash minus uv dash over v squared. So if you do want to try proving that, if you know you're going to be going to do maths at uni, or if you know that you're aiming for like the top grades and you're interested in where the background of these things are, you've got some instructions of how to have a go at doing that. Something you can maybe have a look at home. But we're not going to spend the time doing that right now. So we're going to go in with this one straight away. We can say, like we did last time, u is equal to x, and v is equal to 2x plus 5. We do the same process as differentiating u and differentiating v. Oh, this is the comma that's a part of the question. So if that kind of is getting in the way, we can just get rid of it. It's the way it's been typed. Oh, no, this is also a comma. That's not u over v dash. That was u over v, comma. Yeah. So it was just because it looked like it was part of it, but it isn't part of it. So I've removed those now, okay? So my visual way of how I remember that it's vu dash minus uv dash is you're going to be doing vu dash minus uv dash. That's the kind of order that I do these things in, that I go v to u dash minus uv dash. So that little visual loop that I've got there, that visual loop reminds me about the way that I draw alpha. If you draw alpha starting at the bottom though, it's not going to work. My alpha, when I start drawing it, is at the top, okay? It's just my visual way. That's how my brain sort of works with some of these things, that I'm going here, here, and then here, here. It's the like negative bit and then the positive bit if you think about gradients. However you want to remember that. Writing it as uv and then u dash v dash gives you some visual ways of doing this. We're also going to be seeing this again in integration, so I want you to be in the habit of writing u and v and thinking about how it all comes together. And quotient rule, if you're doing further maths, you probably will want to use the u and v for this, okay? Because it's going to be useful to see all of the different bits together. So when I differentiate this, I'm literally just going to go with that order. So it's v u dash, which is just 2x plus 5 multiplied by 1, minus u v dash, which is minus 2x, and that's all being divided by 2x plus 5 squared, which is v squared. So that's vu dash minus this times this, which is minus 2x divided by v squared, and that is equal to 5 over 2x plus 5 squared. Did we need the quotient rule to do this? Could we have done this in a different way? We could have done it in a product rule. I'll give you a chance to write this down first of all. Good. We could have used the product rule. And we could have said that y was equal to x, 2x plus 5 to the minus 1. Because that's the same thing, right? The two bits that we've written here and here are the same thing. One of them is a quotient, one of them is a fraction, and the other one is a product. But because of the way that we prove the quotient rule, which I said is the product rule, it's unsurprising that we can do both of these in both ways. So I am going to do this one as the product rule to show you. Generally, I think the quotient rule is neater and nicer. It simplifies quicker. But it's always nice to see that maths is like watertight and the same thing in both ways. So if I was going to do this with the product rule, I would have said that u was equal to x and v was equal to 2x plus 5 to the minus 1. U dash is 1 and v dash, what does this differentiate to? Oh, sorry, that says v dash, it's not meant to. What does this differentiate to? Minus 2x plus 5 to the minus 2, multiplied by the 2 because of the blah that we have inside, the 2x plus 5. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is using the product rule, I'm just going to do that one times that one and that one times that one. So I'm going to have minus 2x plus 5 to the minus 2, plus 2x plus 5 to the minus 1. It doesn't look the same though, does it? So we need to do some work on this to see if it is going to be the same thing. So this first one is minus 2x over 2x plus 5 squared. And this next one here is just 1 over 2x plus 5. So what do you think I might need to be doing with these two, Shahan? Good. I'm going to add them by making a common denominator, which means I need to multiply the top and bottom here by 2x plus 5. So the common denominator would be 2x plus 5 squared. We would have minus 2x, and then this bit would be a 2x plus 5. The 2x's cancel, and you do get 5 over 2x plus 5 squared. So it's kind of nice to see the quotient rule is just like a different form of the product rule, but the quotient rule is going to keep things neater. Look how neat this is versus the amount of work that needed to be done here with the product rule. Okay? So we're going to have a look at applying this. Luckily, there's nothing new. If you can understand how to apply the quotient rule, we've understood this whole section. There's nothing new. It's just about substituting in to a formula. So this time it wants us to find the stationary points of y equals sine x over e to the 2x, and they've given us a range of values here that we want to do it for. Stationary point means that dy by dx is 0. So I have that y is sine x over e to the 2x. That means u is sine x, v is e to the 2x. Sine x goes to e to the 2x, to e to the 2x. And remember the order, it goes vu dash minus uv dash. It kind of looks like a little alpha. I'm going to do that one times that one minus that one times that one. If you want to remember it in a different way, that's fine. I just kind of see it as that little loop of the order of where I go. So we get that dy by dx is that times that. So that is going to be e to the 2x cos x minus that times that. I'm going to do 2 e to the 2x sine x. What am I missing? V squared. Divide it by this thing squared, which is e to the 2x all squared. And I want this thing to be equal to 0. What is e to the 2x squared? E to the 4x, okay? Not that it's going to really matter that much. Now, if I want this thing to be equal to 0, am I interested in the numerator, am I interested in the denominator, or am I interested in both of them? I'm only interested in the numerator. okay? Because I don't want to make the denominator equal 0, because then I'm going to be dividing by 0, and that's not good, okay? So I'm only interested in the numerator being equal to 0, which means I can kind of ignore this e to the 4x bit here, and I can just concentrate on the numerator. The other way you might see that is if you multiply both sides by e to the 4x, well, 0 multiplied by e to the 4x is 0. So we've now got 0 equals the numerator. What do you think I should do to the numerator? Factorize it. So I've got e to the 2x cos x minus 2 sine x. So either e to the 2x is 0 or cos x minus 2 sine x is equal to 0. Any comments to make? No solutions? Technique for solving this? Divide by cos x to create tan x. So we're going to divide everything by cos x. So we get 1 minus 2 tan x. Pardon? I don't need to use the denominator for this because it's only when the numerator is 0 that the overall thing is equal to 0. Okay? So we're not actually using the e to the 4x. That's why I got rid of it in this line here. So I divided by cos x. If you ever have a mix of cos and sine being equal to 0, you can do that division. Yeah? Yes, of course. So I'm going to just solve this. So I'll get that a half is equal to tan x. I'm just going to solve the equation. So I'll do, am I in radians or degrees? Of course it's radians. And so we get that x is equal to 0.464 to 3 decimal places. I can't do any exact values for that because there isn't an exact value for that. And I also want to find out what the y value is. So I'm going to do the sine of 0.464 divided by e to the power of 2 times 0.464. And I believe you get the answer 0.177, meaning that the stationary point is 0.464, 0.177. And whilst you're writing that down, I'm going to go on to Desmos and show you that that is the case. Do you mind if I quickly go on Desmos? Okay, I'll come back to this bit so you can write it down in a second, but this is e to the sine x over e to the 2x graph, and the stationary point looks like it's here for the range that we were talking about, which is 0.464, 0.177, which is what we had, okay? Very strange looking graph. It gets super extreme over here, just tails off there. So nothing new other than the formula, which is kind of why I like this topic, because it's just like a slow build until we get to the next chapter. So you've got a question on the next page that I'd like you to have a quick go at. It says it's an exam question, very easy exam question. So you can have a go at doing that differentiation on the next page. And if you've then already done that, you can begin to do some of the practice from exercise 9E as well. So this is the question I want you to have a go at. And then I've got these questions to suggest you have a go at here. I'm going to have a go at this as well.